My brother chose to bring his toxic best friend to my wedding instead of his long-term girlfriend, despite knowing the drama he'd cause.
When I told him no, he snapped, called me Big Ted in front of everyone, and his immature friends
started harassing me online. What he didn't expect was how quickly the internet and our family would turn on him once the full story came out. I kind of know I was being an ass, but I really need to know just how bad it was. My brother is 29 and has been dating Leah for about 2 years now. We all really like her, she's super sweet.
I'm getting married next April and sent an invitation to my brother's apartment. We decided to send invites by household instead of individually.
For instance, our aunt received one invite for her entire family, not one per person. Last Thursday, we were all at my parents' house. Just the immediate family, something to do with taxes. Don't ask, lol. While we were there, I asked my brother about Leah's dietary restrictions.
I know she's vegetarian for health reasons and can't eat some raw vegetables. He casually said she wasn't coming and that he was bringing his girl best friend, Amanda, instead. Now, their relationship is just
weird.
Amanda has always strung my brother along. He claims there are no feelings, but come on. Amanda dates other guys, ditches my brother, then runs back to him whenever her relationships fall apart.
Classic pattern.
Her last boyfriend dumped her right before a trip to Spain, which she was supposed to take with my brother, her ex, and his ex.
What did my genius brother do?
He went to Spain with just Amanda because she said she didn't want to be around his ex.
And then he acted shocked when his actual girlfriend dumped him.
I didn't even bother saying anything at that point, it's just exhausting. So when he told me Leah wasn't coming, I asked if she had other plans.
He said no, but Amanda asked to go so she could see the old high school gang. We were all friends back then. I told him if I wanted Amanda there, I would have sent her an
invite myself.
Amanda is rude and cold.
She constantly makes nasty comments about other women, and at every event, like clockwork, she ends up causing a scene, either crying and storming out, or sitting in a corner sulking and making cryptic remarks about being hurt.
I told my brother I was revoking his +1. Amanda was not coming to our wedding.
He accused me of being sexist and narrow-minded about male-female friendships, which is complete BS. My fiancé has a female best friend from childhood, who is also his best woman. I love her, she's amazing, respectful, and always made an effort to include me from the start. That's how it should be. Anyway, I told him that was my final decision. He could either accept it or not come. But I was going to invite Leah myself, because I actually like her.
He flipped out, yelled at me to stay out of his life, and I snapped and told him to get over his weird crush on Amanda.
He's furious with me. My dad says it's not our business, but my mom is pissed at my brother.
Just to clarify a few things, the invite was addressed to the Smiths. Funny enough, Leah has the same last name as us, and yeah, it's a super common one.
And yes, they live together.
The tax thing wasn't serious. My parents own a small business and suck at organizing receipts, so we go over there once a month to help digitize everything for their accountant. Now, for the comments, people have been going back and forth.
Some say I'm totally right, and my brother needs a serious wake-up call. Amanda seems toxic, and it's my wedding so I can choose who's there. Others think I crossed the line by uninviting his +1 and trying to control his relationships.
One person said if my brother had any sense, he'd just not come. Another said I basically forced this drama by inviting him, then trying to dictate who he brings. For the record, my dad isn't mad at me, he just doesn't want to deal with the drama. He doesn't like Amanda either, so he's staying out of it.
Amanda, of course, jumped into the comments too.
She claimed I'm overstepping and intruding on their relationship and warned this would destroy my family.
One commenter pointed out that it's weird my brother and Amanda aren't actually together. They clearly have something going on, but it seems one-sided, like she's using him as emotional backup until she finds someone else.
That dynamic
has been dragging on forever.
Here's the update. After the argument, I didn't hear from my brother or Leah for 2 days. Then, Amanda messaged me furious about my Reddit post.
She called me an asshole and said Leah isn't the only important
woman in my brother's life. She claimed neither Leah nor I had the right to be selfish with his time. She even said she'd been there before all his girlfriends and would still be there after they were gone.
Then she ended by saying she'd definitely see me at my wedding. I was livid. I ignored all her nonsense and just sent her one clear message. Hi Amanda, you are not invited to my wedding.
If you want to reconnect with the old gang, feel free to plan a coffee date when everyone's in town.
If you show up at the wedding, you will be escorted out either by staff or by police.
Please don't contact me or my fiancé again, Amanda.
Kept sending more emails, mostly vague threats and name calling, and then took it to Instagram to come at me indirectly.
She started tagging me in her posts, making my username super small so it wouldn't be obvious, but I'd still get the notification.
She even used one of those ask me anything stickers on her story, where I'm pretty sure she asked herself fake questions just to shade me. Some of the highlights. Someone asked, "What's the perfect outfit for a wedding?"
And she posted a photo of herself in a dress, captioned, "This."
But sadly, I'll never get to wear it. Another was, "What's your biggest pet peeve?"
And she went on a rant about nosy people who think they can control others.
She spammed her story with sad quotes about no longer having a girl, and tagged me in every single one. Of course, I screenshotted all of it.
Lol. Some friends started reaching out once Amanda began telling a whole new version of the story.
She claimed I initially invited her to the wedding, but later uninvited her, because Leah can't stand her and pressured my brother to follow my lead.
The wild part, not a single person believed her.
A lot of our old high school friends have already cut ties with her. The few guys who still talk to her are more connected to my brother, and even they let me know she was spreading lies.
The girls in our group chat blocked her after she vented to them.
After that, she started blowing up their phones. Then my brother freaked out, thinking I turned everyone against Amanda. He called and texted me nonstop, furious that I left her out.
He even blamed me for any harm that might come to her and went so far as to call our MOM, saying Amanda
was depressed and that he'd never forgive me if anything happened to her.
My MOM told him that if he was really that worried, he should request a welfare check because he's not trained to deal with mental health emergencies.
Then the biggest thing happened. My brother got kicked out of their shared apartment. Leah
called me and said she wasn't sure their relationship could survive this, and that she might not feel comfortable coming to the wedding.
I totally understood and just let her know I was there if she needed to talk.
We ended up meeting for coffee, and she didn't hold back about their fight.
She made my brother read all the texts between him and Amanda out loud, then forwarded
the screenshots to one of her guy friends who responded with, "Leah, WTF, this is not okay."
She used that as proof that at best, their messages were inappropriate and realistically, it was an emotional affair. When my brother begged her to stay, she asked him why because he'd always choose Amanda over her. He swore he wouldn't.
But the way he dropped everything to comfort Amanda during one of her meltdowns about me bullying her said otherwise. Leah left while he stayed with Amanda in another room.
Later, she texted him that he had to move out while she was gone.
It's her apartment, and she didn't want to see him again unless he met to conditions. Completely cut Amanda off and start therapy to deal with his toxic behavior.
That fight dragged out for 2 heavy days. Leah said she found some comfort
in your podcast and the comment section. She said it felt surreal but helpful.
She sends her love and wants people going through something similar to remember a few things. Don't be afraid of being alone. Being with the wrong person makes you feel lonelier.
Never get into a relationship thinking you can fix someone. It usually ends in heartbreak.
Put yourself first, and while trying to work things out is admirable. Don't rely on it to save everything. That's pretty much where we were. Sounds like a soap opera. But honestly, my life has been weirdly calm. I just think my brother seriously needs to grow up and either fully commit to Amanda or realize he's being used.
And Amanda, if you're reading this, please grow up and leave me alone.
Then came the update we never saw coming. We got a call last night my brother was in a car accident abroad. My dad and I hit the road at AM to get there because getting flights on short
notice was impossible. He had gone on vacation with Amanda to clear their heads. Amanda didn't even call us.
I don't know if she's still with him or if she's hurt too.
His phone was destroyed, so he couldn't call. Thankfully, a kind nurse has been keeping us in the loop.
He can't even speak to us right now. Honestly, I'm just writing this because I don't know what else to do. My dad isn't talking. I can't tell if he's angry or terrified, maybe both.
I've never seen him look like this. My brother has made a mess of things and hurt so many people because he's selfish. But I still don't want him to die.
He's still my brother.
Thank God he's alive. Amanda's not at the hospital.
Update 3. This week has been awful.
My brother's alive, but not in great shape. We're all completely stressed out on top of everything else. There's the insurance nightmare. He and Amanda traveled to a country that's not in the EU. And of course, he didn't bother getting travel insurance.
So now, we have to pay upfront and just hope his insurance will reimburse us eventually. You know how that goes. If they owe you money, you might see it in 8 to 18 business months. My MOM and Leah are trying to help us sort it out. Amanda showed
up at the hospital yesterday. Turns out, she hadn't disappeared. She had to go to the police station because of the crash. But here's the kicker. My brother isn't in the hospital because of the car accident.
He's in there because he developed sepsis from a UTI that turned into a kidney infection and then into sepsis.
They had gone on this trip to de-stress.
And about 4 days in, my brother started feeling off.
Amanda claims she offered to take him to the ER,
but he refused. I don't know if she's being honest, but for once, she actually seemed sincere.
They went out drinking, and when they got back home, he took something for the pain.
Amanda couldn't say exactly what it was, but she told me it made her nervous because you're not supposed to mix alcohol with medication.
They started arguing, and then my brother passed out. I still don't understand why she didn't call an ambulance. She couldn't really explain it either.
But when he came to, she put him in the car and drove. Amanda said she panicked, and as they were pulling into the hospital, she crashed into a barrier.
That's when my brother's phone, which he'd been holding, flew out the window.
Amanda ran into the clinic to get help and stayed with the car.
Until the police showed up.
After that, they didn't let her back in because she's not family.
Instead of calling us right away, she went back to their Airbnb and later told me she just needed a moment to process everything. She had to go.
Deal with the police, pay for the damage to the barrier, and only after that did she go check on my brother. But here's where it gets really frustrating. Amanda decided she needed to clear her head and left my brother alone in the hospital for an entire day.
She checked into a nearby hotel to rest.
She didn't tell any of us where she was until she randomly showed up at the hospital the next day, looking surprisingly calm and acting like everything was fine. When we confronted her about leaving my brother there alone, she said, "I just needed time to get myself together."
It's been a lot to handle. Meanwhile, my brother was stuck in a hospital bed in a foreign country with no way to contact any of us because his phone was destroyed in the crash.
Now we're stuck figuring out how to get him home and make sure he gets the care he needs. Amanda, on the other hand, seems more focused on how all of this is affecting her own peace of mind. She even posted a photo from her hotel room with
some caption about taking a much-needed break. This whole thing has been a nightmare, and while Amanda hasn't done anything intentionally cruel, her actions have definitely added to the stress.
We're doing everything we can to be there for my brother. He's physically hurting and emotionally overwhelmed. He's stressed about medical bills, his recovery, and the strain this situation has put on our family. On top of that, he's
afraid Amanda might be pulling away from him, which only makes things harder. That's why we're trying to stay civil with Amanda for his sake. Right now, our only focus is on getting him the best care and getting him home safely.
Next story.
So, my ex-husband paid for my nursing school 20 years ago after cheating on me.
Now his current wife wants me to pay them back, and she even asked my son for the money I just gave him for his baby.
Here's some background.
My ex and I split up over 2 decades ago. Our son was 2 when he cheated on me. At the time, I was a full-time nursing student and a stay-at-home mom.
He was covering
my school costs. After we broke up, I asked if he'd still help me finish school so I wouldn't be stuck with debt. He said yes, it was the least he could do. A few months later, his affair partner got pregnant. Once she was expecting, she demanded he stop paying for my education. She said it was eating into their income and the money needed to go to their new baby. But he refused to stop.
He continued paying for the remaining year and a half I had left in school. Since then, I've furthered my education, and now I work as a nurse practitioner.
I built a good life for myself and never remarried.
Fast forward to now, my son recently called and told me that he and his wife are expecting. I was thrilled.
I asked if I could stop by that weekend to drop off a few things, some sentimental items from his childhood, a check, and a few other gifts. He said yes. So earlier today, I went over to their place and gave them everything, including a few $1,000s to help with baby expenses, copays, nursery stuff, or whatever else they might need.
They were both very grateful and said the money would be a big help.
Not long after, my ex-husband and his wife came by with dinner. They weren't expecting me to be there and noticed the check on the counter. His wife asked about it, and I just said, "Oh, I wanted to help out. It's tough out there right now with how expensive everything is. I was just trying to be polite." But honestly, it was none of her business. Then, out of nowhere, she
said, "Well, maybe since you have all this money now, you can finally pay us back for all the money you used for school. Can you believe that?"
I was completely stunned. My ex has never once mentioned me paying him back. He always said it was the least he could do for both me and our son. He's done really well in his career, so I never understood why they'd even need the money now. So I asked them, "Do you guys need the money or something?" My ex said,
"No," and she jumped in with, "Of course not. It's about the principle."
I told her straight up, I absolutely will not be paying them back for college tuition from over 20 years ago.
Especially not when she ended up living in our marital home, while I spent years in a tiny apartment, barely scraping by after I graduated. I've never been bitter or hostile. I've always kept things civil since our kids are siblings, but my blood was boiling. I left shortly after that conversation.
Later, my son told me this has actually been an ongoing issue in their marriage. Apparently, she's brought it up a few times over the years in front of him and keeps pushing him to convince me to finally pay back what they're owed. The real problem now is that the whole damn family is involved.
I got calls from 3 different family members, all telling me I need to get over myself and just pay it. So here's the update as of April 15th, 2025.
First, I want to clear a few things up. Yes, it was our marital home. We bought it after we got married. I didn't fight hard for it in the divorce for a few reasons.
Mainly because she kept bugging me, saying they needed the house for their growing family. I also didn't want to drag out the divorce any longer.
It would have been messier if I had pushed for the house. Yes, my ex bought me out of the
house, but it wasn't for much. It was late 2007, and most of that money went straight to paying of credit card debt anyway. Another thing, when he was paying for my education, we were still legally married. The divorce wasn't finalized until after I graduated.
There was no child support during school, no alimony ever.
I did live in the house while I was in school,
and they lived in an apartment. He paid all the bills including hers after she got pregnant. So yeah, money was tight for him at the time.
Now, the family that called me,
they weren't even my relatives, they were his and his wife's family.
People I thought were like family.
They've all been blocked since. Anyway, on to what happened next.
I got off work yesterday and saw a few missed calls from my son. When I called him back, he tells me that his stepmom had asked for the money from the check, since it was almost the same amount they spent on my college tuition. She said it was obvious I'd never pay it back, and that I'd
probably just give him my son more money anyway. I was stunned.
I was furious.
I couldn't believe she had the audacity to ask my son for money that was clearly intended to support his family. I told him to ignore her, and that I'd handle it. So next, I call my ex.
Straight to voicemail.
I try again, same thing. So, reluctantly, I call his wife.
She answers immediately.
I tell her the three of us, me, my ex, and her need to meet.
First thing in the morning and talk about this debt face to face.
I figured it's best to get everything out in the open, so nothing gets twisted. She agrees. This morning, we meet at a coffee shop near my ex's office.
The moment they sit down, I say, "So, do you want to explain why you think it's okay to ask my son for money?"
My ex looks at her and goes, "You asked our son for money?"
She starts in about how she was only asking for what they're owed, and she didn't ask for more than what was on the check.
Then she launches into this rant about how they struggled for years because of the money spent on my education, how they couldn't afford a new car, or a new house, or even a nanny. Her kids had to share a room.
She's going on and on.
But at that point, I stopped listening.
I was just sitting there thinking, there's no way she believes this. I know it might have been rude, but I laughed. I actually laughed out loud.
I mean, I went into thousands of dollars of credit card debt just trying to keep myself and my son afloat while my then husband was living with her and paying her bills.
My ex turns to her and says, "What the hell, Sarah?" And I added, "It's
honestly hilarious that you think you're owed anything from back when you were the mistress.
We were still married when he paid for my schooling. How he chose to spend his money then is none of your business.
You had zero claim to anything.
Until you two were actually married.
And if I remember right, that wasn't until years after the divorce.
Don't contact me or my son about this ever again. You're not getting a single cent." She rolled her eyes and walked out. My ex stayed behind and said he wished I had just called him directly so he could have taken care of it himself.
I told him I did call twice, and that's when we figured out she had blocked my number on his phone. So for everyone who said she's just insecure, you were spot on. I told him she dragged his sister, his cousin, and even his sister-in-law into this. I got texts and calls from them, telling me I should just pay back the debt. I told him she crossed the line when she involved the family, and then tried to guilt our son into giving her money meant for his child.
That's beyond unacceptable. He apologized and said he'd make sure she doesn't contact me about this again.
We left it at that. Later, my son told me he blocked her number too. He said he doesn't even want her at his house until she apologizes. And that's pretty much where things stand right now. It's been a couple days since that meeting, and I've had some time to process everything. I still can't believe how out of line she was going behind my back, pulling family into it, and then dragging my son into the mess like that. It's one thing to have a grudge, but to try and involve our kid,
that's a whole other level of wrong. I also realized something else. This has never really been about money. Not for her. If it were, she would have come to me directly years ago. But no, instead, she spent all this time making passive-aggressive comments, building resentment, and trying to guilt people around her into doing her dirty work. It's about control, power, pride.
She can't stand that I didn't crumble, that I built a life for myself and my son, even when things were tough.
And what kills me is that she really thought bringing it to our son would work, like she thought he'd be on her side.
After everything I've done for him, I raised him mostly on my own, gave up so much to make sure he had a good life. And now, she thinks she gets to swoop in and act like she's owed something.
No, not happening. Anyway, the fallout from that coffee shop meeting didn't stop there.
Apparently, after she left, she went home and got into a huge argument with my ex. My son told me things got heated.
She accused him of not backing her up, said he was choosing his ex over his wife, He told her it wasn't about that, it was about decency, about boundaries, about the fact that she had no business dragging our son into something that had absolutely nothing to do with him. She didn't like that answer. Later that night, she called my son again, or tried to. He didn't answer. She texted instead, saying she was disappointed in him and that family should stick together. He showed me the messages, and I was honestly shocked. The emotional manipulation was so obvious. I told him again to block her if he hadn't already. He said he had, and that he was done trying to keep the peace. He told me, "Mom, I'm not gonna let anyone guilt trip me over your past. You did what you had to do." I remember everything, and that hit me hard. Because for so long, I worried that maybe I hadn't done enough. That maybe my son would grow up and see me as the one who broke the family, or as someone who depended on others. But hearing him say that, knowing he saw the truth, even back then, it made all the difference. As for my ex, he texted me later to say he'd had a serious conversation with his wife. He told her in no uncertain terms that if she ever contacted me or our son about the money again, there would be consequences. Apparently, she didn't take that well either. According to him, she's now giving him the silent treatment, sulking around the house like she's the victim. Typical, but honestly, that's not my problem anymore. I've got enough going on without worrying about her fragile ego. This whole thing made me realize how much I've grown. Years ago, I might have cried over this, might have second-guessed myself or tried to make peace just to keep things calm. But not now. Now, I see things clearly. I know what I gave, what I sacrificed, and how hard I fought to get where I am. I don't owe anyone an apology for surviving. A few days after everything went down, my son stopped by with his girlfriend and their baby. We sat around, had coffee, and just talked. No drama, no tension, just peace. He looked at me and said, "I know things got messy, but thank you for standing up for yourself, for us, for not letting her walk all over you. I didn't expect that, but it meant everything. At the end of the day, I'm proud of the life I've built. It wasn't easy. There were days I didn't know how I was going to feed us, nights I cried myself to sleep wondering if I'd made the right choices. But looking at my son, how kind, loyal, and grounded he is, I know I did something right." So to anyone out there going through something similar, let me just say this. Don't let guilt tie you to people who've only ever wanted to control you. You don't owe them your peace. You don't owe them your progress. And you sure as hell don't owe them money from 2 decades ago. As for her, she can keep sulking. She can keep spinning her narrative to anyone who'll listen. But she won't get a cent from me. Not now, not ever. And if she tries to drag my son into it again, she's going to find out just how strong the bond is between a mother and her child, especially when that bond was built through years of sacrifice, love, and unwavering commitment. That's all for now. Thanks for sticking around and hearing me out. I'm sure this isn't the last time. She'll stir the pot. But now I'm ready for whatever comes next. Because I know who I am. And I know where I stand. And I stand firm.